News with Bill, Episode 1, Like a Phoenix. Like a phoenix rising out of the ashes, this is News with Bill. Thanks for joining me and welcome to this, the inaugural episode of my new show. Now, before we get started with kind of the important stuff or the regular stuff, let me give you a brief background and description of where News with Bill came from and a little bit more, kind of about the ins and outs before we get down to business. So to put it briefly, News with Bill is going to bring you weird, strange, and odd news items from the deep, dark corners of the world. Now, just be warned that some of these deep and dark corners might include where you live, but, we'll get to that, Florida. Now, these are not the stories that you'll typically find on your major news outlets. So, it might be something that will pique your interest. Now, will this show be strictly limited to news? No way. If there's an odd snack that I need to try, a random review, or miscellaneous banter that needs to be a part of the show, I'm not going to hesitate to include it. News with Bill and the News with Bill content will continue to be organic. Things will just go wherever I feel they need to. Now, what isn't News with Bill? Well, first and foremost, you will not hear politics on here. Things get too personal, and really, everyone has their opinions, and nobody's going to be convinced to change their minds. So, anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy the show, and let's get down to it. All right, first up, we have a story today, lion poop for sale. What a great way to kick off the show. First show, first story, and we already have poop for sale. It had to come to this eventually, but the Krohn Circus in Munich is now officially in the business of selling lion poop. Now, Germany is not allowing circuses to perform during the pandemic that we're going through right now, so it stands to reason that they're really struggling to stay afloat, and especially with all those animals they need to feed, take care of, etc. So the Krohn Circus in Munich came up with what I guess was an obvious solution, selling jars of lion and tiger poop for about €5 a jar, which is about $6 US. Now, the idea started out as a joke because how could it be anything else? And it was designed to make people laugh and get their minds off of all the bad things that are going on in the world with the pandemic and everything. Now, because there are a lot of dumb people who will buy anything, the jars of poop have become so popular that the circus had to set up a store, shaped like the poop emoji, of course, in front of its Munich headquarters. So if you're in the area, stop by between the hours of 10 and 2 for your fecal fix. Now, aside from being just a novelty that you can anonymously send to family and friends for fun, these jars of poop also seem to have some actual use. People have been using it as a pest repellent, effective on everything from cats to wild boars. I think that jars of poop would also keep most sensible people away, too. Now, this poop stream might be coming to an end, unfortunately, because, naturally, a German animal rights group is calling for this enterprise to stop. Maybe because, I don't know, going around and scooping up their poop into jars is some form of abuse? And I guess that this circus has been the target of activists for some time, so dealing with this is nothing new for them. And I can't forget to mention that a portion of the poop proceeds will go to a charity that works to improve the living conditions of captive animals. So take that, Carol Baskin. All right, now from Florida, shocker, we have a man arrested with over 24 pipe bombs. So police in Florida have arrested a man after finding that he had more than 24 pipe bombs, and some of these were packed with nails, screws, and metal pellets. The police were called to the area after an explosion was reported in the area, and they found several pipe bombs on the street and in a trash can. Officers identified 34-year-old Gregory Haas as the suspect when he approached and surrendered to them. Well, that was kind of nice. Haas told them that he made the bombs for celebrations and to remove tree stumps, and that he never intended to hurt anyone. Because you obviously need nails, screws, and metal pellets to remove tree stumps, right? Yeah, of course, naturally. Now, Haas is facing 26 felony counts of making, possessing, and placing a destructive device, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is now leading the investigation. And what else would an inaugural episode be without Nazis? So, a Nazi is claiming self-defense. An Oklahoma man shot an unarmed woman who was running away after tearing down a Nazi flag that he had flying in front of his house. 45-year-old Alexander Fastner said that he was acting in self-defense when he shot several rounds without warning at Kim Dahl McVeigh with his AR-15. In an attempt to get his $500,000 bail reduced, Fastner portrayed himself as a patriotic citizen and loyal American whose political beliefs have subjected him to threats, harassment, and the frequent theft of his flags, which the public associates with the Third Reich and National Socialism. Because what else are these symbols supposed to represent? Dude. Anyway, McVeigh's gunshot injuries required multiple surgeries and several weeks of hospitalization, and Fastner has been charged with assault and battery with a deadly weapon. Fastner argued that McVeigh was the real criminal and should have been charged with an assortment of offenses, including larceny, trespassing, public intoxication, and a hate crime. While it is indeed true that McVeigh broke the law by stealing a flag, his response, I would say, is just a touch out of proportion to the crime. Police investigators say that the Nazis' home security system recorded him gunning her down as she was obviously running away from his residence with only a flag in her hand. Now, I'm betting that McVeigh did not see that coming. Sorry about that one. All right, next up today, I have some weird magazines that you can actually buy. Now, magazines seem to have fallen by the wayside, and that's probably because either they've become way too political and preachy, or because, well, the internet. But there is some good news. Despite the fact that the magazine industry is dying, there are still some super niche magazines that you can actually get in print. So if you've ever wanted an absurd amount of knowledge about these topics, these magazines will probably give you a good start. So we're going to start off with Emu Today and Tomorrow. Do you want to know about emu farming and futures? What about emu husbandry? Well, a subscription to Emu Today and Tomorrow might just be your thing. It goes without saying that this is a tight-knit community, and the magazine can give you information on everything from collecting and caring for their eggs to cooking and enjoying the meat. Interesting fact, though the meat does come from a bird, the FDA classifies the meat as red meat due to its color and other similarities to beef. So you can check them out at emutoday.com. And if you get a subscription, let them know that you heard about them on News with Bill. Next up, we have Spud Man. Now, as you might guess, Spud Man gives you a real in-depth look at potatoes. Spud Man is an industry magazine and gets way too deep into potatoes, covering important topics like the best practices of potato storage and forecasts on the fiscal wealth of the potato chip industry. You can find your source for all things potato at spudman.com. Now, this is a good one, Girls and Corpses. All right, so this publication is probably best described and probably can only be described by the founder, Robert Stephen Ryan. And he said the following: why girls and corpses, you ask? Well, if you're like me, you like two things, beautiful girls and rotting corpses. So I thought, why not bring these two great tastes together in one magazine? From the sound of it, you might think that this is, some kind of horror magazine with cheesy effects and, well, even cheesier woman, let's be honest. But the corpses you'll see in the magazine are supposed to be real. They are apparently imported from countries where the laws regarding dead people are probably somewhat lax, and because these guys are able to do a quick photo shoot with the bodies before they continue to where they're supposed to be going. I don't know. Next up, we have Elevator World. Now, as uplifting as an elevator periodical might seem, this has got to have a pretty narrow audience, don't you think? I mean, I can see how keeping elevators maintained and all is important, but a magazine? And I don't know about you, but I work enough for every week that I don't need a magazine about work to read when I'm off work. But I digress. Anyway, the website has a bookstore as well. And if you have $83.50 to spend, you can peruse your very own copy of the Elevator Maintenance Handbook and Manual. And if you're a real big spender, you can grab a copy of the Vertical Transportation Handbook, 4th edition, for just about $180. Now, the one thing that isn't mentioned that, in my opinion, should definitely be included is a column covering proper elevator etiquette. I mean, we could do a whole story on that at some point. So next up, going back to the animal theme, how about a subscription to Practical Sheep, Goats, and Alpacas? So this magazine is a guide to sheep, goats, and alpacas, their ownership, and it's going to ensure that you are kept at the cutting edge of, well, the latest trends in sheep, goats, and alpacas. The quarterly started back in 2013, and it is a good guide for anyone thinking of getting involved with the animals. You can figure out what breed of goat to get, how to feed and care for your goats, and how to manage the fur of your alpacas. Hey, llama owners, I'm sorry, don't even think about it. And even more animal themed magazines. We have Miniature Donkey Talk. How could you go wrong with this one? Because regular-sized donkeys are too mainstream, they had to narrow their focus and publish a magazine about mini donkeys. For 25 years, magazine founders and miniature donkey farmers, Bonnie and Mike Gross, have published the magazine to provide information and resources to the apparently thriving mini donkey community. Subscribers get access to a community where they can buy and sell goods and services and get tips and information about their smaller-than-average donkeys. And next up, we have a magazine called Pro. PRO. Pro magazine could be about a lot of different things, and if you're going to be featured in a magazine, Pro seems like it might be just where you want to be. Now, that would, in theory, be great if your goal was to appear on the cover of Portable Restroom Operator. That's right. There's a porta potty periodical. Say that 3 times fast. Who would have thought that the industry would actually have a magazine dedicated to it? Now, I'm not sure exactly what the magazine talks about. The latest porta potty technology, toilet paper dispensers, new deodorizing technology. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless. And the final magazine, you're going to think it's thematic, but it's really not. It's called Crappy Now. Now, as much as you might think this is a magazine that's in direct competition with the Pro magazine I just talked about, this magazine is for fishermen that prefer to catch a very specific species of fish, the crappie. Now, about all I found out about the crappie is that it is the North American version of the sunfish, and they're supposed to be pretty cool looking. I don't know anything else about them. I'm not a fisherman, so if any of you have any input, please let me know. I don't know what else there is to say about this one, but if you're looking for a crappy magazine, definitely subscribe to Crappy Now right now. And now we switch focus to some Pokemon Go violence. So Dateline Japan. So on August 10th of this year, police in the Hokkaido prefecture arrested Kento Sato on suspicion of assaulting a 55-year-old acquaintance who was sitting in his car. Sato, who is standing next to the car, is accused of grabbing the man by his chest through the window of the car and damaging the car's side view mirror by kicking it. The cause of the dispute was Pokemon Go. Now, we don't seem to hear much about it anymore, so in case you don't know, it is a smartphone video game based on Pokemon. Yeah. Anyway, both men were competing for control of a location when things apparently got escalated. Now, the two met through the game and have known each other for a few years. And while I think that we can all agree that video games should never cause a conflict like this, I think that we're missing the biggest red flag of this whole situation. Why are people over the age of 10 playing Pokemon Go? All right, next up, we're going to talk about a pricey coronavirus mask. So a jewelry company in Moza, Israel, is working on what it says will be the world's most expensive coronavirus accessory. A gold mask with a diamond-encrusted face that has a price tag of about $1.5 million. The mask will be 18-karat white gold and have over 3,600 white and black diamonds. And of course, it will have filters, so that it actually serves a purpose as well. Isaac Levy, the owner of the Uvel Jewelry Company, said the buyer also wanted to make sure that it was done by the end of the year and that it would be the most expensive mask in the world. The mask will weigh in at about half a pound or so when completed, so I don't know how he would be able to wear it and if that was even the buyer's intention to begin with. All right, so aside from lining the jeweler's pockets with money, what good can this thing possibly do? I mean, the buyer can't wear it, and nobody's going to be impressed by it. I mean, we all have way too much else going on to care about this idiot wasting his money. All right, now back on the theme of people selling weird things, we have a railroad that's selling canned rocks. So with the huge decline of tourism money coming in due to the pandemic, a Japanese railway company has come up with an interesting way to try and keep afloat. They're selling canned rocks from their rail tracks. Located in Japan's Chiba Prefecture, the Chiyoshi Electric Railway Company has seen some tough times since their founding in 1923. Despite little bumps in the road like, World War II, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the global pandemic has made things the worst that they have ever been for the company. Now, the company started a YouTube channel that's been around for a few years, and it's just starting to see some increased traffic. This has given them the idea to try something new. It started with their announcement of a new original product available via their online store, canned stones from the company's train tracks. The stones are marketed as great paperweights, collectible items for railway fans, or weapons for people to use to defend themselves. Priced at approximately 1,650 yen, which is about $15 US, the rocks quickly became the top-selling item at their online store. But hey, at least your $15 rocks are washed and waxed before being canned and sent your way. Let me go back to this same theme. Some people really will waste money on just about anything. All right, and finally today, there's a Lego in your nose. 7-year-old Samir Anwar of New Zealand apparently thought it would be wise to put a Lego piece up his nose while playing with them back in 2018. His father said they tried to get it out themselves and they couldn't do it. So they took Samir to a doctor and he couldn't see it. He told them that if he really did put a Lego in his nose, that it would most likely enter his digestive tract and pass through and out that way. I mean, that's got to be bad because I know how bad it is to step on a Lego. Anyway, Dad said that Samir never complained about it, and after that, they all kind of forgot about it. Well, this all changed last Saturday. Samir told his parents that his nose hurt after he sniffed some cupcakes. Well, they all thought maybe he got some crumbs up his nose or something like that. Well, his mom helped him to blow his nose, and the missing Lego piece came right out. I just hope that they washed it before throwing it back in the box of Legos. And at least this is, once again, a lot better than having it get stuck somewhere in his digestive tract or having it turned sideways and, cause some damage there. So good for you, dude. All right, well, that's going to do it for this inaugural episode of News with Bill. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your feedback. So please let me know what you think of this episode, and also let me know what you want to hear in the future. So I'm at News with Bill on Twitter and Instagram. You can send an email to feedback@newswithbill.com, or you can call and leave a voicemail on the News with Bill hotline at 209-854-4620. All right. Thank you both for listening. I'll catch you next time.